Let me out! Where are you going? Like, the front's that way. Hey babes, thank you so much for joining me today for another video. My name's Amy, if we've not met before. Today's video is all about my philodendron collection, and this morning I've actually gone round and counted my plants. I've got like 250 plants, not including the propagations, and just 16 of them are philodendrons. So they're definitely not my favourite genus by far, but I do actually have more of them than I thought I did. I was thinking like I'm gonna go around and do collection videos of all of the different types of plants that I've got, and I was like, surely I haven't got enough philodendron to make one video. But actually I feel like 16 is a pretty good amount to talk about. I have 16 Hoyas to talk about, and that was a pretty good video. So here we go to 16 philodendrons. I am fibbing a little bit because actually the first one that I want to talk to you about isn't technically a philodendron, but it gets called a philodendron a lot. So I thought I would like tag it into this video because I don't actually know what other video I'd put it in. I feel like I'm gonna need like a miscellaneous like categorized video because I have a lot of plants that don't fit into any like big, obviously they do fit into genus. I'm waffling, but like I've got philodendron, I've got anthurium, there's like the cacti and succulent kind of crowd, I've got the Hoyas, but then there are things like this guy, which is, this is a Thaumatophyllum. It's a Thaumatophyllum sprucianum, but it often gets called a Philodendron Goldii, but it's actually a Thaumatophyllum, but it's the only Thaumatophyllum I've got, so I don't really know where else to put it. But maybe I will need like a miscellaneous categorized plants, but I thought I'd include this one in here purely because it does get called a Philodendron Goldii quite a lot. So this is a Thaumatophyllum sprucianum. I wouldn't say it's like the best specimen. I've definitely not cared for this plant very well over the years of having it. I've had it for a really long time, like we're talking maybe not like a really long time, but probably 3 years, and like it's not looking its best. I am trying to look after it a bit better. Like it was on the top of my cabinets, and plants up there really do get neglected, so I've brought it down. It's a bit more eye level, and kind of since doing that it has pushed out this leaf. This is the newest one here, the nice shiny one. I do really enjoy the leaf shape, like it's so freaking weird. I have actually got a pup of this one growing, but I quite like the way the like stem has gone at the bottom, like these kind of markings where old leaves have fallen off. It's actually like the roots are kind of raised up from the soil, but I quite like that. There's a lot of, I don't know if you can see, like here there's a lot of growth points that could activate, so it could branch off even more. It is a really cool one. It's just one of those ones that kind of spreads eagle a little bit, takes up a lot more room than I would like it to, but I do really like it, so I need to treat it better because it might actually look so much better in my collection. So technically not a philodendron, it was reclassified as a Thaumatophyllum, but it's included in this video. While I'm here, I do have fungus gnats. This is the fungus gnat trap. You will see a few of them around. A lot of my plants have been neglected recently. If you've watched my recent video, you'll know that I've been having a little bit of a rough time. So whilst my plants have been cared for and that they've had their basic needs met, like the grow lights are on and they're getting watered, moss poles aren't topped up, leaves are definitely not clean, there's a lot of dust on these leaves, so they're not looking their best, but I still want to share them with you because this is realistic plant keeping, so we'll ignore all of that. Where do I go next? I'm gonna go for this one next. This is one whose pole absolutely needs to be topped up and it needs the water, so I'll probably just chuck it in the shower after, top up the pole and give it a good old drench. But this is my Philodendron Patriciaea. She was an import from Ecuador and I love her very much. She has this one leaf that just kind of refuses to face the front. If I'm completely honest, I probably will chop this one off. very soon. The others all kind of face the front. Like there's a new leaf here coming, and I'm really hoping that it comes in and fills this gap here. Like that will be perfect. If it can do that, I will be very happy. In my care, so it came with this leaf back here, this leaf and this leaf. This leaf I'm actually really glad is still very much alive, because I snapped the petiole and I put like a little steri strip, like paper stitch, wrapped around it, and I think it's healed itself. It was a little while ago now, so I think I'd know by now if it was gonna yellow off. This leaf was coming out when it arrived to me, so I can't take full credit, but it did emerge. This one has grown completely in my care, and oh, I mean that ribbing, like it's such a stunning leaf. I really love the colour. It gives like, it almost looks like a matte velvet texture. It's not velvet at all, it is just kind of like leathery, but it's such a deep green, and that striking vein down the centre and just the kind of ripples of abs. It's gorgeous. I'm just having a little look. Is the new leaf out of the caterpillar? No. I mean that that next leaf is like, there's no leaf popping out of that yet. I feel like the next one's going to be huge, which I am absolutely here for. I really do need to top the pole up. You can see that the stem comes up to here, and there's no substrate in that part of the pole, so I really do need to do that. I really love her. Really love her. My hands are already getting sticky. I think this is why philodendrons are not my fave. They are so sticky. They are the plants in my collection, not all of them, but there's a few that just have those EFN extra flora nectary stickinesses on them, and they're just so sticky to touch. Not a fan of like sticky fingers. But yeah, Philodendron patriciaea. We're 10 minutes in and I've talked about 2 plants. I'm just going to go for who's next on the table in front of me. This is in no particular order, by the way. This guy here is a Philodendron brandtianum, and I can see like extra floral nectaries are burning through the leaves. I got this from another plant swap last year, back in August, and I mean the leaves of a brandtianum are stunning. Where did my voice go? They're stunning. That silver is just gorgeous. Like, I don't think anyone can deny that they're not stunning leaves. Like, they're so pretty, but oh, they are a pain to grow. Obviously I haven't got it on a pole, so I'm not going to be doing it justice. I kind of wanted it to grow trailing. I don't even know if they do that. But I wanted it to dangle down, because like, how gorgeous would a trailing plant of that leaf be? But it's not doing it, and I'm not really caring for it all that much. I'm just chucking some water every now and then. I really want a trailing plant that looks like this. Does that even exist? Like a silvery heart-shaped leaf that trails? Like, I know there are some syndapsus, but it's not this, is it? It's just stunning. I haven't got anything else to say about that one. Next up in front of me is my Philodendron Florida Beauty. This is definitely a very sticky one, like real gloopy stickiness, and I really don't like it. But I love the plant. If you've watched my recent favourite and updates video, you'll have already seen all of these leaves very recently. There isn't all that much change, but just so you can see them all again. Stunning. The new leaf is out a little bit more, and you can kind of see the variegation that's going to show up on that one. It looks like it's going to be real pretty. But yeah, the variegation on these plants is stunning. It is a really beautiful philodendron, and it's definitely one that I'll always have in my collection, but it is sticky. It's real sticky, and it is real thirsty. I need to give it a drink. That's definitely a thirsty plant. But yeah, there's that one. Super pretty. I do really love that it's got like the reddy orangey coral petioles on this one, and I don't know if it'll be picking it up, but they are slightly, ever so slightly, I don't even know if you'd call that fuzzy, but there's little bumps on them. Little bumpy petioles. They're really cool. I do really like them. Next on the table in front of me is this little guy. It is, I can't remember the full name. Is it like Philodendron Variegated hederaceum? Philodendron hederaceum Variegated? I don't know. But it's the variegated heart leaf philodendron, and these do trail, but obviously mine's teeny weeny. I got this as like a one leaf cutting that had sprouted, and I've obviously chopped it. This section does have its growth point coming in. There's that leaf. And then these guys have rooted. It took a really long time to root, like a really long time, but once they got going, they got going. Not that you can see it very well because this glass is a little algae ridden, but there's those two leaves. I do really love a heart-shaped leaf, and I do love a variegated leaf. And you may have noticed I've started putting some beads on my plants for like obviously you can't get it onto the stem when there's a leaf there, but I've started putting beads on my plants. I feel I've got a vision. I feel like it's gonna look really cool, but it looks a little silly at the moment. But yeah, I've got that one. I will pot them back together and get rid of this large leaf. On the subject of trailing philodendron, this is absolutely one of my favourite philodendron, but to look at it you probably wouldn't know that because I've really neglected this plant. I've let it down so much, but it's my Philodendron micans. I've had this plant for a really long time. I've chopped it back loads and loads, and it's getting tangled in the mic wire, and like, yeah, she looks pretty good down here. Like, we've got new leaves coming in, but there are, like this big one here, this leaf is dying, and if you look kind of in between, there's a lot of dead leaves. I can hear them. I can hear all the dead leaves and like all the old like caterpillar sheath things falling everywhere. I'm gonna have to vacuum. And like the top of her, she's looking pretty bold up here. I do love her so much though. Like I just need to give her a little bit of TLC, a little bit of probably a whole soil refresh, a good old dust down because these leaves are so dusty, and she is balding at the top, but I suppose the only way to fix that is either to take more cuttings and fill her in at the top to kind of cover up the baldness, or it's to chop all of this back right to the top, reroot and then repot again, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that, and like part of me doesn't want to. Where is this even growing from? Like, I don't like moving and repotting her, because when you do, like with these types of philodendrons, their leaves will face the light source, so then when you move them they just look absolutely crazy for a little bit, and I really do like the way she's looking, apart from the kind of, you know, random dying leaves. But yeah, she's a beauty. She's absolutely a staple in my collection. I'll never not have her. She is heavy, and there's a cobweb up here. I hope the spider that lives in it is catching fungus gnats. Philodendron micans. She's a real heavy babe. I'm gonna put her there. I'm gonna keep going on the trailing philodendron conversation, hype, road, whatever. This one is so dusty. This is my Philodendron Brasil, which, do you guys even know that I have this? Like, I don't speak about it. I don't think I've ever spoken about it on this channel. It used to sit on the top of my fridge, right at the back, and it would trail down behind my cabinet and shelves. And because it was so kind of far out of reach, it barely got watered. So it's lost a lot of leaves, and I don't actually know how it's still alive. It's definitely got the will to live. There is a really long strand, a single long strand here. Like, it looks a mess because I have moved it recently. It's now in a much easier to reach space. What is this? What is this? There's like... Oh, that looks so weird. I was like, is that 3 growth points coming off of one section? But so this is the section I've chopped, and then there is, it's 1 new growth point. Oh, did I just snap something? I snapped a leaf off. There's 1 new growth point that's grown off of it, but it just looks really odd because of the way this bit's gone. I don't know what I'm saying. I've moved it recently, so yeah, it looks ridiculous. Like, whereas I was saying with this one, all the leaves are facing the front and looking really beautiful, this looks like a mess. And I mean, it totally deserves to look like a mess. I've not treated it very well at all, but I'm hoping it can look beautiful again, because I do actually like the Philodendron Brazil. Like, some of these newer leaves up here that are like popping out, they are quite stunning, aren't they? I do just need to give it a shower down because it's really, really dusty. I'm probably going to chop this really long vine to stick back in the top. But yeah, Philodendron Brazil, like Philodendron hederaceum Brazil. Wow. Next up in kind of easy reach vicinity is my Philodendron gloriosum, which, if you're not new to this channel, you'll know that there's been many times where I've been like, I'm going to get rid of this plant. I'm getting rid of it. I hate it. I hate crawlers. And I do hate crawlers. I'm not a fan of how much space they take up. However, whenever I've gone to like actually properly get rid of this plant, it starts pushing out a new leaf, and I'm like, I'm just intrigued to see what it's looking like. It's got 3 leaves and 1 on the way. This is absolutely my favourite. It is beautiful. This is a very, very, very sticky philodendron. Not a fan. The petals are redonkulous. Like, why are they so long? And it's in a, there's a fungus now. I didn't get it. It's in a organizer tub, and the stem starts here, and it's obviously crawled all the way back, and I've just got leaves on this little section at the back here. So I'm gonna have to do something with it. This section's really nicely in the soil, so I'm assuming it's probably really rooted. So I'm just gonna chop it, shuffle it back to the front, and then it can grow again. I don't know what I'll do with this section. Does anybody want it? Because I don't think I've got the patience to grow from there. This new leaf, I again don't know why it started popping out, because I haven't watered this in ages, and when I saw it I was like, oh, I should probably give it a drink. But it has got like this crispy section just here, which I'm assuming is because it dried out, but it looks like it's going to be a really nice leaf. It looks real chunky. Yeah, I think it just needs, I might give it a spray down, like just to give it a little bit of like hydration in amongst the leaf to unfurl a little bit better. But yeah, this is my Philodendron gloriosum, my one and only crawling philodendron. It's in my really old mix. I think it was like a literal concoction of just stuff I had left over, but it is rooted in there, and it's obviously happy enough to be putting out some new growth. So yeah, what I do like about this, the way this one's growing, is that it's growing with the pot, like all the leaves are facing forward, like with the pot this way, instead of like the pot being this way round and the leaves facing that way, because this just takes up so much more space, whereas this sits on the top of my shelf and it doesn't take up all that much space. This leaf kind of like hits the wall, so it gets brought over a bit by the wall. But yeah, it's not the worst crawler. It's not the worst crawler. in the way it's growing. Like, it's the way they grow that just bugs me the most, but this one's doing okay. Next up, I'm going to share my Philodendron Florida Beauty with you. She looks a stay. I used to absolutely adore this philodendron, like absolutely loved the Florida Ghost. I loved how they came out so creamy, minty, and then they would fade down to a green, and they've got the red kind of bumpy petioles like the Florida Beauty, and I really did love it. And then it ended up kind of being in the grow tent and just fully neglected. And this is actually 2 plants in this pot that I have recently combined, and I'm not mad about the way they've been combined, to be honest. I feel like it turned out quite well, and I haven't got it on a pole, and I don't have any intention of putting this on a pole. I actually really like this one's doing it in a weird way. Like, I like it when they kind of trail down and just go a little bit crazy. The other one's growth point is up here. This is a new leaf. I don't know if you'll have seen Ferns from Wild Ferns Florida Beauty, but she has hers like on top of her, I think it's her fridge, and it just, there's no pole, it's just trailing down, and hers looks beautiful. Like, it's still kind of sizing up, or it's keeping the size of its leaves quite impressively. Like, I don't know if this one would do that, but I can feel a little bit of like sentimental attachment coming back for this plant now that it's looking a bit better, which is purely because I've actually, you know, repotted it and given it a drink. Who'd have thought basic care would make a plant look good? But this is probably the like mintiest leaf it's got on it. It is dirty, but they can stay minty for a really long time. But the majority of these leaves are very much not minty at all. There's another one down here that kind of shows it a little bit. So yeah, I'm hoping it'll make a little bit of a comeback and start to look really pretty again. I do need to give the leaves a bit of a clean, but we will see. I'm pretty sure that the kind of creamy white mintiness of the leaves when they come out is dependent on light. So if you've got one that's never given you any kind of paler leaves or like on new growth, that might be why. There is also just a plain green version of this plant, so yeah, something to keep in mind. But maybe try giving it more light, like I'm going to try and give it more light just to see what happens. So yeah, this has been very neglected, but I feel like I'm falling in love with it again and its weirdness. Another very sticky one though. Next up that I want to talk about is my Philodendron mayoi, and I've had this one for a really long time, and it was another one that I really neglected, but I love the leaf shape. It's so dirty. I'm really sorry. I should probably have just cleaned them all to show you them in their like full glory. But I love the leaf shape of this philodendron, and when they get big, they get like phenomenal. I put this on a pole, and I know I filmed it, but I don't know if you ever saw that video. I just can't remember. It's 4 different cuttings on a pole, and I have actually recently, so the, ow, my knee, 2 of the growth points went up, kind of up to the top of the, where the moss is, and I've actually cut them back recently, so you can probably see like some cut nodes, just because there was like an empty node, so like internodal spacing, node with no leaf, and then more internodal spacing, and I was like, no, that's not how we grow here. So I've chopped that off and I've popped it in some water. Hopefully it'll be okay. I have quite a lot of mayois hanging around. This isn't my only plant. I've got another potted plant. I've got a couple of them like water propagating. So if you're interested in Philodendron mayoi, let me know, because I have a few and I don't need them all. One of the things that I'm not the biggest fan of with this philodendron, it's not a very sticky one, I'll give it that, but the internodal spacings on this plant, they're just gigantic, and I think that's part of the problem I've had with philodendron and me not loving them, is that they do need poles, and I'm not the biggest fan of poles, but also ones like this, they need poles huge when actually it's the internodal spacing that's gigantic. Like if they just made that a little bit shorter, they wouldn't need such big poles. But the leaves are gorgeous. They do make up for it, and like the backs of them, don't know if it'll show on camera, but it's kind of ready in the veining. It's a very easy philodendron. I'll show you it's got roots in the pole. Look at that really long one. So that's very cool. It's definitely a rooty philodendron. Got the will to live, this one. I do really love it. It's just one of those ones that I find annoying at the same time, but at the moment I love it enough to keep it in my collection. So Philodendron mayoi. Put that over here actually. There's so many fungus gnats. Oh. So this next one is another philodendron that I've got a bit of like a love-hate relationship with. The Philodendron Burle Marx variegata, variegated, whatever it is. I love the variegation that this plant can put out. Like, it's that dark green with that kind of yellowy fungus gnat. Dark green, yellowy variegation. This one's so sticky. Like, look at that leaf. I know it's old and it's dusty, but like, how stunning. I love the potential for the variegation in these leaves. But what is this growth pattern? What is this? Like, it's wild. I've never known a plant grow like this. Like, it just grows from any which angle, and I have a really tough time with it being so chaotic because I just don't think it looks nice because of the way it's growing. Like, it's not really growing in any particular form. It, like, can I show you? I don't know if I can show you this. So this like stem where I've chopped it lots, but like, just what is all of this? Like, this weird branching, almost looks like a bit of like coral. Like, I don't know. Like, I want these leaves, I want this leaf shape with this variegation in like in a Philodendron mayoi. Like, give me the long internodal spacings over this any day. Like, what is this? But the variegation is so pretty. Every time I look at it, I'm like, I can't get rid of it. But maybe this will be the year that it does actually leave my collection, because I just don't know what's going on. And a lot of the like new growth that it's putting out is very, very variegated. Like, you see this leaf? It doesn't look very happy. This one looks like it's like completely yellow. Yeah, it's almost like it's gone the wrong way. See, this section's going to be all yellowy. It's too variegated, which, you know, you don't often say about a plant. Like, look, this growth point is completely yellow, but there's this one green stripe through it. Typically you want it the other way around, because a plant that's fully variegated doesn't have the chlorophyll to be able to photosynthesize, so it'll either die off or it'll sap all the energy from the green section of the plant. So yeah, not completely sure what to do with this one, but she's in my collection at the moment. She's a pain in the butt, but she's here, and we'll love her while she is. This leaf is my favourite. Such a cool leaf. This next one I'm going to share with you is probably, is it my saddest looking philodendron? I don't think any of them look particularly amazing, but this one just looks ridiculous. I'm just going to show you. Oh, of course she doesn't look that bad on camera. I'll just look at you for a lens, shall I? This is my Philodendron 69686. And it doesn't look that bad on camera. I mean, I suppose this kind of middle bottom section doesn't look that bad at all. It's more the kind of top that's looking a bit odd. So similar to the Philodendron patriciaea, I snapped the leaf from the petiole. So I was basically trying to like turn it a little bit, just kind of like encourage it to like twist, and I just snapped it. So I put a plaster on the end, hoping it would hold the leaf on, and obviously the leaf is gone. It's completely died, and this is very, very slowly dying back, and because there's like a strap here, I've not been able to like yank it off. So there's that. We'll ignore that. And then you can kind of see this like from that point there's, oh, so sticky. From that point there's no moss in the pole, which is an extended pole. So I went through the effort of extending this like handmade pole and then didn't refill it. And there's obviously a whole section. How many nodes is that? If we include the leafless petiole one, 1, 2, 3, 4 nodes of that leaf. But there is, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, under, is that it there? I think that's it. I think this, where I'm pointing here, somewhere around here, there is a new growth point that's like smushed up against the plastic here. I just need to chop it basically, but I'm struggling with that. There is this top section here. This is a new leaf tip pointing out. So again, has the will to live. Sorry, that growth point looks ridiculous. I really want to try and show you it. Can you see it here? Like, it's just like, let me out. I make myself laugh. Do I make you laugh? Am I funny? Or is it just me? What bothers me about this plant as well, which obviously I don't see it from this angle that much, but the back of the leaves all look horrific. Horrific. They look pesty. Like, it looks like oedema, but guys, this plant's really dry. It's not had a drink in a really long time. I don't understand, and it is so sticky. This is quite possibly my stickiest. Is that an actual oedema bubble? That's an actual oedema bubble. You've not had a drink in so long, like what? I don't understand. But yeah, let me see if I can show you some of the like sticky. Can you see this is like a sticky patch? Here's a sticky patch, and it's burning through the leaves, so I can see, or you can kind of see it, look up close, you can see the patches where it's burning through the leaves, and I just can't keep on top of cleaning these leaves enough for them to stay looking pretty. But I do really love this plant. Like, what are these lobes in this tiny little skinny section, and then like, so cool. I'm really worried that my mic has been rubbing on my jacket thing this whole time, and it's horrible sound quality. I'm really sorry if it is, but yeah, I really I love it, and I also think it's ridiculous. It's my biggest philodendron for sure. Again, it's another one that needs some tender loving care. There are roots in the pole, the bone dry pole, so those roots are useless, essentially. Please give me the motivation to look after my plants. Love her, hate her. We'll just keep her at a distance in the background where she looks good. Next up, I've got this little guide to share with you. This was another Ecuagenera import. I don't know why the Ecuagenera import ones are the ones that I'm telling you where I got them from, because I could just tell you where I've got all of them, but there we go. Did I tell you what it is? Philodendron scherberichii, I think. This plant can be absolutely stunning when it's not in my care, apparently. The leaves are beautiful on this plant when they're like big. I have chopped it, so this is actually 2 cuttings in here. This leaf here, and then this cataphyll are 1, and then the other leaves are another. And I have got another 2 cuttings next door, but I did realise the other day that the water had dried out, and they're not, like, the leaves on them aren't looking that happy. I think there's hope for like a wet stick propagation, but the leaves that they had, I don't think they're gonna survive. I've not had too much issue with kind of stickiness on this one, but I have noticed that, if I can show you, don't know if you'll be able to see it, but on this kind of new growth point, there's some little droplets which are sticky. So it obviously does have EFM potential, but what is this? Like, where is this growth point going? Obviously it's said your moss pole shocking, which it is, like, this crusty dry. But I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with helping this section get onto another pole. Like, obviously I'll give it a different one, but where are you going? Like, the front's that way. Where are you going? It's got a lot of potential. I love what it could be. But we're not quite there yet. I did this leaf, it's grown for me, and it's got, like, I couldn't tell if it was like a split in the bottom or if it was like a two-tailed philodendron. I think it probably is just a split, but it did make me giggle when I saw it. So yeah, Philodendron scherberichii. Okay, I don't think any of you will have seen this one yet. This is a new philodendron in my collection. It is the Philodendron paraiso verde, who had a Cinderella leaf sticking situation, which I've just freed. I think I like this philodendron. I bought it recently from a garden centre that is normally very, very interesting with the houseplants it has, but on this particular trip it wasn't that great. And this garden centre is like 25 miles away, something like that. Like, I think it's just over an hour's drive, so like it was disappointing to go there and not have a very good selection. And I still don't know if I bought this because there wasn't anything else that I wanted and I was disappointed, or if I bought it because I liked it. Like, I've always been intrigued by the variegation on these plants. Like, it is a very, very interesting mottled kind of variegation, and I didn't realise, and I don't know if I'll be able to capture it, but they have kind of like a pinky margin. I don't think I can capture it, like around the edge, which is very cute. And yeah, the variegation is very, very interesting, but I can't decide if I like it or if I think the plant looks sick. But apparently, God, it's quite a thirsty philodendron, isn't it? Apparently the variegation's like temperature dependent on these. That's something I've only kind of recently heard, so if you have experience with that, let me know. I'll be intrigued to see what happens with it, because this one is growing in the back room, so it's a cooler room kind of all year round. I'll be intrigued just to see kind of what happens. I'm assuming higher temperatures, more variegation, but I don't know. But it's in my collection. I don't hate it. I'm just not sure how I feel about it. But there you go. It does seem quite thirsty. And we all know I'm not the best at watering my plants, so. Next up is this ridiculous looking thing. What is this? Hang on. Hold it off. This one is so dusty and thirsty. The neglect is real, gang. This is my Philodendron Billietiaea. She's quite flat as far as philodendron go. Like, I know with these they need like a light source, like right here, otherwise their petioles get really long and they kind of, I don't know, they do all these weird things. But Like I mean, she looks good from there, right? Like, I don't know what this leaf's doing. It's completely turned its back on everybody else. But I've got her quite low to the ground, quite far back from the south-facing windows, and I think like the petals are definitely stretching, and she's just like flat. Just, there's no kind of height to her stem. Like, it's almost, maybe I should give it a pole, I don't know, but it's like the stem's kind of crawling forward, so it's just all of the like leaves are just staying at this kind of level, all growing towards the light. I don't completely know how to make it look better. Like, can I just hang it somewhere looking like this? Because that looks pretty cool. I think I find philodendron like high maintenance plants. I feel like they need a lot from me, and clearly I'm not giving them that. I'm not giving them what they need. It's just so silly, so silly. The final one that I want to share with you, I think it's the final one, I hope it's the final one, is this one, and it probably is my favourite. I think it's probably my favourite philodendron. Maybe, I do really like the Florida Beauty. I love the variegation on the Florida Beauty, but it's the kind of growth pattern of the petioles that is kind of knocking it off the post, whereas this one, just look how stunning that is growing. This is my Philodendron Majestic, and the Majestic is a cross between the Brandy, I think, wind, the Brandy and a variegatum. Is it the Philodendron Brandy? Or is it a different one? Mame? No. I can't remember what this is a cross of. Definitely variegata. But how, like, I mean, this particular specimen is just, the leaves are sitting so beautifully. Like, this is what I want. Like, the internodal spacing is a little long, but the leaves are big enough to cover it, and there's I think there's 3 cuttings in here, but one of them, I think there's only like kind of 2 long stems growing up. So the leaves that you can actually see are just from 2 stems. I love them. Like, look at that kind of like camo, silver, heart-shaped leaf. It's stunning. It's so stunning. Is there any roots in the pole? Not that I can see yet. There is a new, so the 3rd growth point is this. This is a new leaf just here. This teeny weeny little new leaf. But yeah, is that not beautiful? I don't think you can tell me that it isn't. I love this philodendron. I've definitely saved the best to last, in my opinion. I just think she's so stunning. So stunning. I'm just gonna hold her while I do my outro, because she's so pretty. Okay, those are all the philodendron in my collection, and Not-A-Philodendron. I don't think I've missed anybody. I did go around and like double checked. I'm pretty sure I've got all of my philodendrons. I have got a couple of philodendrons in work, and typically I would like to bring my work plants home to show them in these collection videos, or just kind of film a little snippet of them and how I've got them displayed at work. But I'm off sick from work at the moment, and however much I love you guys, I'm not about to go into the office just to show you those plants. I have a couple of, I'm just trying to think. So I have a Philodendron Florida Beauty, but a reverted one, so it's just a green Philodendron Florida Beauty in the office. I have a Philodendron Squamiferum in the office, and I've got the Philodendron hederaceum, like just the green one, and then the Philodendron hederaceum lemon lime. And I think those are all the philodendron I have in the office. So another, what was that, another 4 different types. The reason they're in the office is typically plants go to the office when I don't know where to keep them here, or I don't particularly want them here anymore, but I'm not quite ready to let them go. So they kind of go to the office to be there, and I get to kind of keep them, but they're not at home where I don't have space for them, if that makes any sense. So I suppose I've got 20 philodendrons, if we're being completely honest. So yeah, sorry I haven't shown you those. I was gonna say if I get back into work before this video goes up, then I'll take some photos. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna edit this video today and get it up in the next couple of days, and I won't be at work, so I'm not even gonna bother saying that. Thank you so much for watching. In my Hoya collection video, I did like a Hoya wish list at the end, and I'll be really honest, I don't want that many philodendron. The only one that I keep thinking about, that I know I will snap up the opportunity to add to my collection if I find it, is, I'm pretty sure it's the Philodendron fibrosum. Saw it on Harley G's channel, and it's another heart-shaped leaf philodendron with huge, like it can get huge heart-shaped leaves, and the petiole is so hairy, like so hairy. I'm guessing like fibrosum like is quite fibrous, like it just looks so good. And the growth pattern, like she's chopped it up, but there was one video maybe 6 months, a year ago, I don't know, it was a while ago, where she hadn't chopped it and it was kind of just growing wild. Like it was one that could definitely go on a pole, but the way she had it growing, it's just kind of like growing out of the pot, and it was just like these massive chunky petioles with these huge heart-shaped leaves, and I fell in love. And that is the only one that I would add to my collection at this point. Every now and then I do think about getting a Philodendron variegatum again, so one of the mother kind of plants of this hybrid. I had one once and I loved it. It was absolutely incredible, and I had it, like originally I had it not growing on a pole, and it was kind of crawling out of the pot and just looking wild and luscious, and that was when it was like in its glory. And then I put it onto a pole, and I'm not blaming the pole, but not long after it being on the pole it got spider mites, and my god, they were hard to get rid of. Like out of all of the pests, like houseplant pests, spider mites are the ones that I kind of dread the most. I'm not gonna lie, like they make my skin crawl because there's just so many of them. And I tried really hard, like I put it in this massive clear bag that I had. It was a whole thing. Like I really tried to treat it whilst not having anywhere to isolate it because it was such a big plant. And it just kept looking, it got worse and worse and worse, and I can remember like chopping it up, like being so annoyed, like just completely chopping it up, put the pole out on the balcony. The pole is still out on the balcony. I just need to throw it out, to be honest, because I'm not going to use that again. It's been years, like it's just sat out there. And I chopped all of the like nodes up, and it just, I don't know, it was almost like I got defeated. I didn't care for the wet sticks enough for them to grow into new plants, and I'm a little bit sad about it. Like it's a velvet heart-shaped leaf with a fuzzy petiole, like it's everything I love in a plant, but I am a little bit scared because I totally understand now why the spider mites loved that plant so much, like that really thin leaf, and like the hairiness of the petals made it really hard to like clean them. Like I'm just a little bit scared. Like I'm not scared of spider mites, they give me the heebie-jeebies, and I would really rather just not risk having them in my collection. Like my mum's on holiday at the moment. This is a complete side tangent. My mum's on holiday at the moment, and she's like, my mum and stepdad have like a pond full of koi fish, and those koi fish are so cool. But I'm feeding them. I'm putting bird food out for her birds, and kind of looking after her house plants. And one of her plants, this really beautiful like palm, was riddled with spider mites. And it has been before, and we've like treated it and it's kind of been okay, but it was riddled with spider mites again, and I was like, oh. I'm gonna have to deal with that, aren't I? So like carried this really like heavy big pot outside and just blasted it with the hose, because that is a, like, living in an apartment, I don't have a water source outside on the balcony. I can't just blast off plants. My shower is not that powerful. It just doesn't quite cut it. I feel like blasting a plant with like a really powerful hose kind of eradicates pests so much easier. But yeah, I'm having to kind of treat my mum's plant, and I'm feeling like very anxious that one of those, it just takes one, doesn't it? It'll just take one little spider mite to hitchhike on my clothes like back into my apartment, and for there to be like a spider mite epidemic in here, and I can't. I really, really hate them. I would rather have thrips, mealies, fungus gnats, aphids, scale. I'd rather have all of the other houseplant pests than spider mites, because I find them so hard to get rid of. So hard. Anyway, that was a whole other tangent. Philodendron fibrosum is a wish list philodendron. I would really like that. I might one day have a Philodendron variegatum again. Philodendron fibrosum is like the main philodendron that I am interested in adding to my collection. If you have one, or you know where I can get one in the UK, please let me know, because I've struggled to find them. I did see them listed on the Grow Tropicals website, but it was like out of stock, so I've like put the notify me on. This was months and months ago, and I even messaged them on Instagram to say like, is it likely that this one's going to come back in stock? And they said that they hoped it would be, like, put a notify me when it gets back in stock on. So I've done that. It was a very small stock photo that they had of the plant, and obviously I've got like Hardy G fibrosum dreams in my head. But yeah, I'm gonna stop waffling now, because the video is now over an hour long. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what plant kind of genus you'd like to see next in these collection videos, and I will try to film it. I know a lot of you do want to see all of my anthuriums. I just feel like there's a lot of them, and it's a very daunting video to make. But I'm building up to it. I will get there. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, check out my Hoya one if you haven't watched it already. I'll have it linked here. Subscribe if you're not already. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for being here, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye!